Okay, hello everybody again. I'm sorry about your last orientation video. I see it froze. It was the one video I didn't check. So of course it's the one with the problem. So let me just run through this quickly again. Mhm. Like I said, I have two college algebra classes, so you have most of the same setup. There's just a little differences in what you cover, but generally you have the same setup. Um, so you'll have the first page is what you'll open to. You'll see you don't need my name here, my email, my contact information, Canvas inbox and email, a preferred method of contact. And also, if you're going to email me, I prefer that you use your campus email, which I'll explain here in a little bit in the syllabus. And then one of the things I had mentioned, hopefully you saw that last time, is that these are my contact hours. So these are the hours that I'm essentially sitting in my office for the most part. Just to point out this 8 o'clock. I have to drive like almost, was it 25 miles to get here? So sometimes I don't make that 8 o'clock. That happened today, but usually I should be here from 8 to 10 and 12 to 2 Monday and Wednesday, and then from 10 to 12 on Tuesdays. So it's just time I'm sitting in my office. So if you're on campus, you can come by and see me in Paluxy 313G, or you can send me an email and we can talk on Zoom if we need to. But I'm generally telling everybody if I'm on campus for the most part, usually between like 8 and 3, almost every day. Okay. So if we just go to modules off here to the side, we have the orientation module. Kind of quickly to mention a few things here. Your syllabus, this link was supposed to work on the side. Not sure why it's not working, and it's only in the 1414 classes. Every other class it works. So I did attach your syllabus down here in the orientation module so you can see that information. But some little information about me, the course material, which is where this video will end up again. The things that are important is just this part here, just make sure that you have taken this course or are in this course. It's just a course on being an online student. I got stuff on my screen. And then the biostig instructions, which hope you saw this. It looks like everybody got in this anyway. Yeah, you have to split what you're using. So I use a stylus, but there's a mouse, touchpad, touchscreen. Tell it what you're using, and what's going to do is ask you to pick a 4 number pin, and then you're going to write that pin over and over again. So this is just a way to ID that it's actually you. And the only thing I'm using this for is attendance. So I just have a biosig sign in every week, and that's how I just record the attendance that you were there for that week. So they all close on Mondays. Go back to modules. Student resources. We have this in every Canvas page, how to use Canvas, how to use Zoom, about academic integrity, basically saying don't cheat. If you cheat once, we can give you a 0. If you cheat, I think twice, then we can kick you out of a class. And then I forgot, I think it's 3, 4 times. Then if you cheat, you can get kicked out of the college. There's going to be some discussion before that happens, but just things to be aware of. About technical support, all that fun stuff here. This is coming up here, but we're not going to use Turnitin. And actually, now that the course is completely open, we can view as a student. Make sure things are not sitting down the chair. Calculators, I have 2 of these. Probably 84 will be more useful to you. The only problem with this is that you can use it for homework just fine in quizzes. It's going to be, sorry, all this stuff is popping up on my screen. That's on the downside, all the pop-up ads for it, but it's a free calculator and it works just like a TI-84. So it's not sure how they've managed to get away with this, but it's essentially the same as, like it says, Texas Instruments as the TI-84 online calculator that Texas Instruments makes you pay for, but this one's free. As far as your exam, you may want to like get Canvas or get the website and put it on your phone so you can bring up on your phone when you're taking an exam, because your lockdown browser will lock you out of this. Okay, there's also one for TI 30. That one's new. I haven't played with that much. The 84 I know works exactly like an 84. Um, the 30 I'm assuming works just like a 30, but this one was brand new, so I barely played with it. Oh, I missed this. Lockdown browser. So instructions here. So there's this little test. This is going to walk you through how to use the lockdown browser. So we're only using this for exams. And it's just a way to have some sort of proctoring for your exam so we can say that they're proctored at least, which is more of a benefit to you, especially if like there starts being questions about where your credits come from and what was going on in the class. We have something to say, yeah, you had proctored exams. So we're going to use this browser, ideally, hopefully things work. Um, so we have two labs that will have lockdown browsers. So if you cannot get it to work on your home computer, you can come in. If it's completely impossible for you to get the browser to work or come into campus, just send me an email. We'll try to work something out there. 'Cause I've used this before, and usually for the most part, I'll say 90% of students can get it working and don't have a problem. And then there's going to be 10% that are going to have some issues with this. So if you are having problems trying to get this browser to work, I'm just going to ask you to send me an email. And if you could take a screenshot of what happens when you're trying to get it to work, that will be helpful, and tell me what device you're using. Because as you see, there's some devices it does not like to work with. So phones, Android devices, oh, iPhones, Android devices, I think pretty much any phone's not going to work with. Google Chromebook, which I don't understand why that one doesn't work. And then there's instructions for different things to use. So like I said, just let me know what you're using, because usually I have ideas of why it's not working when you use a different, like if you're using a Windows, Mac, or iPad. And then after that, there is a little test. This test is for you to make sure that it is working. So it will just take you to a test that is in, well, I'll come back to that here in a second. It'll take you to a test that's in Pearson. And then from there you can just go through it. So basically it's a little quick little test that uses the orientation that is set up to use my math lab or my lab math. Don't worry about getting 100% or anything on that. I just really just need you to go through and just make sure that Respondus is working. I'm just going through and make sure you did like part of it, like a good, like 25% of that test. If you can get through it, I'm assuming Respondus is working and you're good at that point. The later I'll just have to go back in the grade book and change things to make sure it is not reflecting in your grade. Okay. AI tutor. Just bring this up. This is something that is free and we haven't had a lot of time to figure it out and play with it. But there is a QR code that you can use to get this on your phone. Oh, there's actually two of them. Or you can click on the page. That was quick because it knew me, but it will ask you the school. So you just put in Northeast Lakeview College, and then you should have something come up. You can start asking questions. So I'm still training this one, so just bear with me a moment. But you, for the most part, can ask it questions. So what I usually do is like take pictures of problems and homework when I was playing with it, and just hit this, and then just attach the image. And it won't tell you the answer, but it'll help you walk through it. So it's good for teaching you how to solve problems. Like I said, it will not give you the answer. I believe if you get the answer and you ask if it's correct, it'll say yes. But it will not tell you an answer. It'll make you work through the problem. So like I said, this is just new for us to use. So we're still trying it out and seeing how it works. Supposedly a lot of other schools have used it, had a lot of success. Like I said, just try it out if you can. Like I said, probably best thing is just take pictures of problems like my math lab. Just stick them in there if you're having an issue with it, and it'll probably help you walk through it. That being said, if you hate using it, then you can always still send the problems to me. Okay. Just making sure it's still sharing. Oh, other thing here, if you didn't know it, so let's say you went through this orientation module and you never want to look at it again, a little arrow and I'll collapse it. We already talked about this stuff, so we'll collapse it. Okay, so but we will talk about MyLab Math. So we have a multimedia library. So if you click on this, one of the things you can find is videos in here if you don't like my videos, which happens. Um, and then there's the grade book. This grade book is not the same as this grade book. This one, let me click on it. This is the grade book that has everything for your weekly attendance, discussion boards, all of that is in this grade book. So the grade you'd get here for a total would be your correct grade. Okay, I gotta figure out why it's saying 90 right now. Let me go back to modules. I'm sorry, I'm having an allergy attack while doing this. It's been a week. Um, yeah, but this grade book will only show you what you get in your Pearson homework. So MyLab Math is through Pearson, and we used to be called My Math Lab if you've used it in the past. And this is where all your homework is, and also your textbook. If you click this link, here's circling up here. One of those links you're just going to have to initially sign the user agreement. And then if you've had a Pearson account that you've used, I think for any of the Alamo colleges, it'll take you right into your account. Otherwise, you'll probably have to create an account. It won't show me creating an account because I already have one. It won't let me reset that. But yeah, there's your book. So you have an e-copy of the book. You don't need a physical copy. That's how we can keep the cost down for you having books. If you go here, the table of contents. Oh, we don't want to use that. If there's something you want to look at, you can open up after. You can open up the section. And I'll take you to that part in the book. If I arrow over, then it'll take me to the next page. So I'm not saying it's the most quick and easy navigation, but one of the nice things is like, let's say I really wanted to hold on to this problem because it was helping me understand something. I could bookmark the page, and when I come back to bookmarks, it will be in there. Also help me find my most recent pages, so whatever I was just looking at, I can go back and click on it. And I'm just checking this out something quick. Okay, I don't think this one does it. Some of your books have videos embedded in them, and I keep trying to remember. Oops, there it was. Which ones have them? Right there. So there are in the pages little videos embedded in there. However, let's say you don't want to have to search through your book. If you go to the multimedia library, which is why I left this up. You can go in here and you could pick what you were looking for. So chapter and then the section. And then you can click on videos or my text videos. You might want to click on a couple of these to make sure to get everything. And right there, there's the videos that go with the book. So I want to click all those. Also, you can look at PowerPoints. You probably don't need those, but you can use this to find videos as well if you need a little bit more than what you're getting out of the videos I made. Sometimes it's helpful to see something taught by a different perspective a little differently. All assignments takes you to all assignments. So I want to point something out here. So this is your module for the week, and you do see assignments attached here. So this will take you directly to the assignment. This will take you to all the assignments. Pretty much everything's in here with the exception that I have to remake your tests and I have to remake your quizzes. Because I had quizzes for a previous semester and I had to change things a little bit to fit the flow for this semester. So I'm still putting your quizzes in here, but you can click on a homework assignment that you're working on from here. So you don't necessarily have to go through it with a module. All the homework assignments are up in here, just not all the quizzes right now. So you can do this. You can click on a problem if you just want to start the problem. You can hit start. So you should have infinite chances at homework problems. So I just want to show you what that looks like. So if I have a question and I answer it. I hope that was wrong. Correct answer. It will give you a little hint of what to do. And then you can try it again. Oh, I'm still wrong. And then try it one more time. Final check. Don't make us think that you can't answer this again. If you do final check, I had to pick one with multiple parts to it. It'll let you still go on if there's another part and just keep on checking. So usually, like you saw there, the multiple choice I had to attempt that. So if it's a free response, usually it's 3. Multiple choice is usually 2. And then it says that's correct. And then it says similar question. So it regenerates and gives me a whole new question again. So if it looks like it's locking you out, it isn't. It just gives you 3 attempts on free response. It's like I said, 2 on multiple choice, occasionally only 1 on a multiple choice, and then it will generate a new problem. And as you see, it's not even the same one. So you can go down here and, oh, that one's just textbook. I'm telling you, every book does it differently. You can click on textbook and it'll take you to the book where we're doing this part. Ask my instructor. Like I said, you could take a picture of that and you can put it into the circle in the AI we have and look at it. Or you can do this. So when you go ask instructor, it's going to send a message to me. And as you see, it's got the section and the question. So I just ask you to kind of quickly explain why you sent it to me. Because it could be something as simple as you have the right answer, but it's telling you it's wrong. It makes it a lot easier for me to check that so I don't spend 20 minutes explaining the whole problem to you. I can fix your problem quickly. If the problem is like you don't understand, like, I keep getting a negative, but it says it's a positive, then just tell me that. Just quickly tell me what the issue is you're having. It makes it a lot easier for me to pinpoint the problem and help you with it a lot quicker. And then you send that to me and it goes to my email. Um, Sometimes these get kind of hidden because the way they sort of pop up in my email. So if you don't hear back from me in like 2 days, just send me a reminder that you sent a question and I never responded. Usually I catch them, but occasionally there's like one that's by. Okay. There is like no submit button at the end. You could save the assignment and it saves how far you got through it. As you see, I'll show you the problems that you attempted. So now I know to go back for that one. If you see a green check mark, you had 100%, you don't have to try that again. And then as you notice, the due dates on this assignments, you do have a due date it needs to be done by to get full credit on what you did. After that due date, what's going to happen is that for every day that's late, you're going to lose an additional 2% off the grade. And that's really just going to be for problems that you didn't finish before the due date. So there is going to be a grading penalty if you turn this in late. All right, so this here's integrated review. If you wanted to go through different chapters, it has some more resources in there, usually a lot of videos as well. So your modules for each week, like I said, I'm just going to close all this down for now. So week 1, no, we got to put week 2 back up here. Week 1, it was finished. You're going to have an overview, your content, and then this is where that biosig is. You're going to sign in. There is a discussion board. When you do the discussion board, make sure that you respond and then you respond to somebody else's post. So it's going to be really annoying for that first person who responds and then they have to wait for somebody else to make a post to finish this assignment. I'm sorry about that. But like I said, it's mostly try to get you guys talking to each other because you're all online. And one of the greatest resources you do have in a math class is each other. So try to help you guys get to know each other. So if you start having questions, you can ask questions to each other. Like I said, these will go directly to those homework assignments. I just want to point out the problem with these. This is a weird Canvas thing. Oops, we don't want assignments. We want this. Go back to module. These assignments, once the due date hits in Canvas, will not let you open the link again. So if you didn't finish this assignment by the 29th, you'll have to go back here and open up all assignments and then go to that page there and find it and open it again. So like I said, it's just a weird quirk of Canvas and there's not much I can do to fix it. Quizzes when they're due, they're due. That one doesn't change. And then I did put that respondus test in here because I'd like to have that, make sure that's working as soon as possible. So if he's having issues, we can fix them as soon as possible. Let me run through what this looks like. So if you look, basically just going to tell you what we're covering. What are the things you need to turn in for this module and the due dates. So it's 28th and it says 29th there. That's because Canvas and my math lab are not communicating right this minute, and I have to still try to get that to work. I haven't fixed it yet. It doesn't fix as easily as you think. Here, so presentation notes, if you want to have the notes that I'm using here. And then there's a worksheet because there's a few times I ask you to work on a problem, pause the video. Or so I see the pause the video and work on a problem. So if you wanted to, you could print those worksheets and work on them, or you can just write down the problem. Or you can just keep a copy on your desktop and open it up so you can write down those problems and work on them on a piece of paper, however you want to do it. But it just gives you those problems separate from the video. The videos are bookmarked. If you see, there's little bookmarks here. So worksheets. If you open in YouTube, it's a lot easier to get those bookmarks. But you know, there was a little bit of a recording problem, so sometimes they don't line up perfectly. It was just something to do with my software. It would not move the screen when it should have quick enough. So I start talking about the next slide ahead of time. So if it looks like it's a little off, that's why. So I try to break this down so these videos are not more than an hour, much more than an hour long. A few of them are like an hour and minutes or something. But like I said, I have it bookmarked, so you can go through it chapter by chapter. Weekly attendance, just do your sign in. If you can't get the work, send me an email and we'll work on what we're going to do. By the college's rules, I have to have the biosig, which is why it's there, and I know it's annoying. Like I said, if you have problems, let me know. So as you can see, people are responding here. So you can reply to this message board. Remember to go back and reply to somebody else afterwards. To try to be polite. The homework. And then you'll have a quiz. And then we usually don't have another little test at the end of this one. This is just the wrap of what we should be doing. The stuff we should have covered for that module. This is first module just because we're testing, making sure this lockdown browser works. Then you have the lockdown browser. Most weeks should look like this, with the exception of week when we have an exam. There just won't be a quiz. You'll see instead of a quiz there, you'll see your practice assignment or practice the test, and then a submission for your work for the test. Okay, so let me go back to the syllabus. So hopefully, I know this is where things went wrong last time. So let's go back. Okay, so my contact information is the same stuff I have at the beginning of your page or your Canvas page. It's suggested to have a TI-36X or TI-84 for the class. A 36 is definitely cheaper. I would definitely say that since this is 1414, that you're probably planning on taking pre-cal and you're probably taking calculus and more and more advanced math classes. A TI-84 might be worth the investment. So we got this broken down into 5% of your grades to discussion board. To get credit for discussion board, you have to make a post and respond to somebody. The homework. Sorry, I need to change that. I thought I fixed it, but I didn't. That should be every Wednesday. Look from an old class. So homework will be assigned weekly and will be due on Wednesdays. So everything's either due on Mondays or Wednesdays. After that date, you get a 2% grading penalty. And I'm not going to move due dates unless like collectively everybody's really struggling in a section or something happens and um, like when we had there was this AT&T went down and we lost internet for a while, all over the place, or recently when we had the Amazon web services go down, if something like that happens, then I'll move dates. Quizzes are pretty much fixed. And I do drop two quizzes eventually. So if you do miss, you shouldn't be, you're probably only going to have like maybe 8 to 10, I think it's 10 quizzes in this class. Um, and you have a whole week to work on those quizzes because it's going to be open for that week. You should be able to get it done in that time frame. So I'm not giving makeups on quizzes. I'll just drop two of the lowest grades in case you missed one. Um, exams. Um, so there will be 3 exams in this. Actually, it's 4 exams, I believe. I don't think this saved when I fixed it. There will be 4 exams in this course. Each exam will cover roughly like 3 to 4 weeks of material in there. If you miss the exam, you really have to have a good excuse to make it up because you're going to have a 5-day window to take that exam. And if you do miss it, usually I'm going to give you like a week to kind of make that up if you have a really good excuse for missing it. A final exam. Final exam is going to happen the last week of class, and you'll have a week to get that in. Or actually, it's more like 6 days because they open it on Monday and close on a Saturday. So you'll have 6 days to get that final exam in. After that, we're not taking any more work. We're done. Everything's submitted. And then the last little thing here, so 10% of your grade is just going to be submitting your written work from your exams. So I'm going to grade that separately. So it should match the problems that I see in your exam. So whatever your last attempt is on your exam, that's the one I want to see. Or the one with the highest grade, because that is the one I'm going to go through and check and grade. So I'm going to grade this work separately. So this one will take a little longer to get through. But just to make sure everything's matching up. And really what I'm looking for is that you're not using AI to do your homework. Um, so try to be active in this course because we don't want you just being passive about everything. Try to talk to other students, try to ask questions, things like that. Attendance, we just use that BioSig once a week. Assignments, I can't accept anything after the final exams are done because I have like a 2-day window to get your final grade done. So once we hit that Saturday of exams week, or midnight of exam of Saturday on exams week, final exams week, we're done. No more things can be turned in. Like I said, you have a 5-day window on exams. But really try to get it in there because if you have technical issues, you don't want that's something we can adjust for. But I'm of the opinion, I will tell you that you have 5 days to do it. If you wait till the last minute, take your exam, and then you have a technical issue, um, I may not be so willing to open that up for you, to be honest. Because you have, like I said, you have a couple, like 5 days to get the exam in. It should be able to be done within that time. You can only do it the very last minute if something went wrong and you try to do it ahead of time. Quizzes, like I said, quiz due dates are final. I'm not changing that. Homework, you have that 2% grading penalty. We're going to use the lockdown browser for your homework. So if you need like a calculator, don't use one on your computer. You put one on your phone or something like that, or get a calculator because the lockdown browser is going to lock you down of everything on your computer except where you're taking your exam. Discussion boards, remember, not everybody in this class is over the age of 18. Just because they're in a college class doesn't mean that, well, they could still be in high school, but they could still be graduated from high school, but still be 17. Um, so just those are things just to bear in mind that not everyone is over the age of 18. So just try to use appropriate language in discussion boards and try to be nice to each other. Like I said, that's not usually been a problem. Have to point it out. If you were experiencing any problems in the course, let me know. And several of you have sent me emails, which is why I'm making this video again. Okay. Um, but just to point this out, there was a change to legislation that says that we have to, as faculty, work on campus, not remotely. So all our grading is going to be done while we're on campus, not when we're not going to take grading home and do it now. And then that means that emails and messages, I'm pretty much here for Friday, Monday through Friday from about 7:30-ish to 3:30-ish. That's when things are going to get answered. So just allow me like 2 business days. So that means if you send me an email on Friday, don't expect anything to Monday because Saturday and Sunday are not business days. So just like I said, give me 2 business days, and then if you don't hear from me, that's a good time to follow up, send a follow-up email. Sometimes like your emails don't get to me, or they get buried under like 20 emails that are completely not important. So nobody's trying to purposely ignore you. It only happens by accident. And then please, please, please use your Alamo College's email to send me emails, or the Canvas inbox messages to send me information. Because I cannot respond to personal accounts, or I should not respond to personal accounts, because it could be a FERPA violation. Because what I want to make sure is the person that I talk about your class and your grades to is just you. I don't want to be not supposed to be talking to anybody else except you and other people in the college who need to know about your grades. Those are the only people who should know. So keep your crazy girlfriend from asking me questions. Um, Calculators. So you can get one for loan at the library, and you can check some out for 4 hours from the library if you need them. So if you're only going to have to say go to unless you have accommodations, so it shouldn't happen. But if you have some sort of accommodation that requires you to go to the testing center, you'll definitely need to have a physical copy, not one on a phone. You can use those 83 and 84s that are embedded in Canvas. Decimal, scientific, and graphing calculators are also really useful calculators if you need one to help you out. And there is a Calculate 84 app that is free that you can put on your phone. It will look like it's not free, but you just have to keep fighting it trying to make you pay. You'll just have to deal with pop-up ads. Artificial intelligence. The big part's right here. Part's important. You could use AI for tutoring because we got that AI tutor, so that's fine. You can use it for tutoring. You can use it to make flashcards. You can use it to study. You can use it for speech to text assistance. You can use it to clean up documents or emails if you want to. That's fine. What you're not supposed to use AI for is for submitting work. So you do not want to do it to do your homework questions, do quiz questions, or exam questions. And that is what we're looking for when you submit work, is looking at how you solved problems, because it's usually pretty easy to look at and tell if you did it or AI did it. So if we are suspicious that AI is being used, you will be contacted and talk about what's going on and discuss what happened with your work. And if you fail to respond, then that can result in you just getting a 0 for your assignment. We really want to make sure that it's you who's doing your work. So this schedule here, pretty much going to stick to it. Like I said, unless something weird happens, or occasionally, like I'll notice something that needs to be changed just to make the flow a little better. For the most part, this flow has worked for me in the past, and it's probably not going to change. The only thing it might change is we might add something to the course, but that's probably not likely. All right. Well, hopefully this recording worked better. If you have any more problems, feel free to send me an email and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I hope you enjoy this class. And I mean, college algebra is always one of my favorite classes, so I hope you enjoy it as well.